Welcome back to MiniBeasts in the East. The MicroBeasts are back, ready for Heat C. 5 more robots are about to do battle in our arena. Let's take a look at who's who. Lots of variety tonight. 2 flippers, Chica and Pickering Punisher. The undercutter of Hawk 2, spin on that thing. Dan Tom Thor, the axe, and Baphomet, the dual disc vertical spinner. Looking forward to seeing the action here as these robots are about to go in to war. But before they do, let's take a look at the format. The pentagram of peril is formed as 5 rounds go by, each with a robot taking a fight out. One-on-one battles will decide the points and those moving through to the next round. And speaking of points, it's 5 for a KO win, 4 for a JD win, 2 for a JD loss, and 1 for a KO loss. And we will be tracking those through our lovely leaderboard. There you can see everybody set to 0, ready to do battle. Without further ado then, let's check out our first 2 fighters. Dan Tom Thor, Michael Clements Axebot, based on the robot Thor from Robot Wars. It's a very tanky build, but it does tend to wheelie. It is up against the brand new Hawk 2, spin on that thing. One of the curse names of all time. It is very good at going viral apparently. Let's find out.
3, 2, 1, activate.
Here we go then, up to speed is Hawk 2 and a little clip on the front wedge and again on Dan Tom Thor, but that spinner seems to have stopped there. Struggling to get up to speed is that thing. And you can see the wheelies there on Dan Tom Thor. We were warned about that spinner has stopped altogether. I don't know what's going on. They just can't seem to get it into action. It's cogging somewhat. Something might have got caught up in those first interactions. Who knows what has happened there. Dan Tom Thor needs to capitalise and does. Gets a hit in there. Can they get round? Can they get any good damage using that axe? Dan Tom Thor very good at pushing, but so is Hawk 2, now being pushed against the side wall, and here comes the axe hit. I'm not sure that's doing a whole lot there, but a good grapple now, Dan Tom Thor, and showing Hawk 2 all around the arena. Dan Tom Thor, the most unkillable robot from an AWS event very recently. They are looking to do the same here, and they are doing well against the spinner. That thing is not spinning anymore. Cannot spin on it or around it or anything like that. As Dan Tom Thor is just cutting down the angles. Where are they going? Over to the pink square. Not sure what that driving move was. Not sure they're aware either. Dan Tom Thor need to capitalise here. This thing looks kind of uncontrollable at times. Hawk 2 now underneath somehow, and Thor managing to get back down. Dan Tom Thor, I should say, of course, based on the Robot Wars Robot Thor. Being pushed around again. Dan Tom Thor very nearly down the pit, but a good evasive bit of driving saves them. Well, that fight had a bit of everything. Despite the spinner going down, Hawk 2 were not out of it as the pushing power showed through, but they were no match for the wedge of Dan Tom Thor. The axe came down, grappling a hold of Hawk 2, showing them all around the arena, and try as they might to escape, they just couldn't get away. And this bit of driving here from Michael Clements sees Hawk 2 down and out. Our next fight sees Dave Weston with the drum spinner of Baphomet. This thing looks vicious. It runs sad upside down, however, says Dave Weston. We'll be looking out for that as the flipper of Pickering Punisher, the sponsored robot, is very fast, but apparently very bad to drive.
3, 2, 1, activate.
Off goes Pickering Punisher. You can see the speed is too fast. It's gone down the pit immediately. Well, yes, too fast to drive, I think, is the case. Might need to tone down the old dial there. Baphomet the winner. After that very speedy exit, you can see the points on the leaderboard. Baphomet and Dan Tom Thor at the top on 5 points apiece. Hawk 2 and Pickering Punisher on 1 point apiece. Chica sat that round out on 0, but they are in the next battle and they're up against it here. Chica, Madison Reed's flipper robot. Very good at flipping it is, but she's a little bit nervy. Let's see how she gets on against Dave Weston and that brutal drum of Baphomet. It was originally designed to be like Tornado from Robot Wars. Of course, that has changed over the years.
2, 1, activate.
Up to spinning speed is Baphomet Chica, cutting down the angle, and that fight was very nearly over before it started and could have been again as they circle each other. Baphomet in now against the pit, but goes out of the arena. Well, I didn't expect that. When you drive close to the pit and you've got a flipper between you and escaping danger, you expect to end up in the pit. Not Baphomet, no. They managed to drive all round Chica, get stuck up against the side wall next to the pit, and then go over it. Chica the winner. Up next, Pickering Punisher returns to the arena. Dan Reed's Flipper Robot hopefully has learned from their mistakes in Fight 1, turning down the old speed dial. They are up against Dan Tom Thor, very cold and calculated in their first battle against the almost uncontrollable Hawk 2. Let's see what they can do here. The 3, 2, 1 activate. We sort of forgot to start filming at the start of that one, but the action continues as Pickering Punisher and Dan Tom Thor circle each other, and Dan Tom Thor cuts down the angles. Pickering Punisher very nearly down the pit in a wheel stand now, and they have managed to escape danger. They have toned it down a bit, but Dan Tom Thor has got him back into that awkward spot. Now Pickering Punisher going on the attack. Dan Tom Thor very close to going down the pit. Now underneath is Pickering Punisher, self-righting is Dan Tom Thor as they were flipped over. Good back and forth this, kind of equal on the ground game, and Pickering Punisher gets in underneath again. Dan Tom Thor panicking a little bit, and now they're out of the arena. Pickering Punisher kept calculated. Well, it looked to be all over at the very beginning. Pickering Punisher in a tight spot, but managed to escape on their rear. Then flipping the table and flipping Thor close to the pit. Then away from the pit over towards the Uta zone on the far side before bringing them back over once again. Pickering Punisher gained full control before sending Dan Tom Thor over and out. Let's check in on the leaderboard. Hawk 2 sat that round out there at the bottom on 1. Chica now with 5 points, but it's a tie at the top, and I think the Baphomet devilish ways are at play as the top 3 all have 6, 6, 6. It is Baphomet up to the arena next. That drum spinner has been prominent, but they flew out of the arena in the last battle. They are looking for redemption in this one, and they are going to find it, hopefully, against Dan Tom Thor. They also know what it's like to be thrown out of the arena. It happened to them in their last battle. Let's see if these two can stay in this time. So definitely for the first time there was no other fights. There goes Dan Tom Thor thrown into the arena wall. But already a better attempt than the first one of this one. Dan Tom Thor now bringing the axe into the spinner of Baphomet. That's a dangerous game. Now Baphomet's in underneath, turning Dan Tom Thor over. They are coming back with a swift reply there, just trying to grind the side of Dan Tom Thor, and there are a couple of chunks coming off, but not too many. That front wedge very well armoured. Dan Tom Thor getting away from the side wall. Baphomet up to full spinning speed, coming into the side of Dan Tom Thor again. There's a little twist in the air as Dan Tom Thor is starting to come to pieces. I was saying about that very sturdy front wedge, I might have spoken too soon as Baphomet is slowly taking it to bits. There goes some more of it. Dan Tom Thor struggling here as they go against the sidewall once again. Now upside down, having to self-right. Baphomet getting all the hits in. There's another, and there's a last one as Dan Tom Thor flies out of the arena. Well, it was an explosive start to this battle. Look at the number of rotations Dan Tom Thor was sent in. Got a couple of axe blows in, but then Baphomet started removing that front wedge, and from that point onwards, it was all Dave Weston all day long. Dan Tom Thor, no reply. They were sent sky high out of the arena. Baphomet, they look strong. Now, a little oopsie on this one. Hawk 2 versus Chica. We fully forgot to record it, and so here is an animated slideshow of what happened. Chica got the good early engagement, But then a side panel removed by Hawk 2 left them open to attacks. And a final big blow sent Chica out of the arena. And Hawk 2 gets his first win on the board. After that, Baphomet is on 11, Danton Thor on 7, and then 666 again, Pickering Punisher, Chica and Hawk 2 all level down the bottom of the table. It's anybody's game still at this point. Our next fight will see Pickering Punisher, Dan Reed's Flipper Robot take on Hawk 2. Spin on that thing. Hawk 2 unlucky in its first fight, I think. Of course, I would say that. I built it. Hawk 2, though, against it here, as Pickering Punisher is the perfect counter for that undercutter.
3, 2, 1, begin.
Up to spinning speed is Hawk 2, sending it straight into the sidewall. Not the best driving there, as they send chunks of the arena floor flying more than Pickering Punisher, who doesn't quite know how to attack this. And there is the first engagement. Hawk 2 sending Pickering Punisher flying across the arena there. Dan trying to cut down the angles, find the right angle of attack, but it is mostly weapon this. If they want any way of getting it stopped, they're going to need to act faster. Pickering Punisher being knocked around at this point as Hawk 2 gets back up to spinning speed. It's spinning a lot better than it did in Fight 1. Obviously we didn't get to see Fight 2, but it was doing alright in that one, and it's doing well in this one also. Hawk 2 up to spinning speed again. Pickering Punisher doesn't quite know how to attack it, but that spinner is starting to slow down like we saw against Danton Thor in Fight 1. They are back up to speed though. They seem to have fixed something, but the spinner just doesn't seem right as Pickering Punisher managed to get it stopped very easily there. Perhaps the tide is turning for Pickering Punisher. Yes, the spinner almost becalmed now. Pickering Punisher, they can capitalise here. They very nearly drove in the pit. Tried to get a flip there on Hawk 2. Didn't quite manage it. Hawk 2 still trying to get spun up, but cornered now. Pickering Punisher, prime opportunity, and they flip them over once and twice. But then they drive straight in the pit. What on earth was that? Well, Hawk 2 got the early engagements in this one, just managing to deflect that front wedge of Dan Reed and the Pickering Punisher. They didn't really know how to attack it. They didn't really know what was going to happen. I'm not sure the Hawk team knew what was going to happen, but later in the game they managed to get the flips in. So explain to me this driving error. What on earth happened? From Dan to Madison as the Reeds continue. Chica with its flipper, very good in its fight earlier on, but then struggled against Hawk 2. They are up against Danton Thor for a bit of redemption. Michael Clements has been doing well so far. This tanky build, however, faced a bad beating against Baphomet.
3, 2, 1, begin.
And we're away. These two come together, but no action as yet. The axe and the flipper stand still, and there's one axe blow. It's all over. This one was always going to come down to ground game, and Danton Thor won that battle. Here's the leaderboard. Danton Thor at the top as Baphomet took the round out. Hawk 2 also now level with Baphomet. Chica on 7, joint with Pickering Punisher. It's not looking good for those two. Let's see what happens in the next battle. Pickering Punisher is in next against Chica. The two flippers finally doing battle. We've seen Pickering Punisher struggle with pit issues, as in they keep driving down it. Chica, meanwhile, they've been cold and calculated, but have just fallen at the hands of Danton Thor. Let's see who wins this one.
3, 2, 1, activate.
Here go the flippers, and it's Chica with the early flip on Pickering Punisher. A second and a third as Pickering Punisher is stuck on its side by the pit. Struggling to self-right. Chica coming in now and takes advantage. Well, I think that answers the question of who the better Reed driver is. It's Madison with Chica, as Pickering Punisher had no answer there for the flips of Chica. Over and out goes Pickering Punisher. Now it's time for the big spinners to go head-to-head as Baphomet Dave Weston goes up against Hawk 2 Spin on that thing. The undercutter versus the drum spinner, the match I've been looking forward to all night long. These two have been brutal so far. What can they do in this one? We head down to the arena right now to find out.
3, 2, 1, activate.
Spinners up to speed and they collide as Hawk 2 goes spiraling across the arena. Now gets a good hit on Baphomet, who's upside down. We saw in their card they don't like driving upside down. It drives sad, or so says Dave Weston. Hawk 2 getting all the engagements at this point, and Baphomet cannot self-right for love nor money. Another great hit from the Hawk, and another, and a third, as Baphomet drives around with the gyro dance. Where is Hawk 2 going? Giving me a heart attack. Now back on their wheels, Baphomet. That could be telling for them. And Hawk 2 spinner is slowing down now and has stopped altogether as there is a push from Baphomet, and Hawk 2 goes down. Your winner is Baphomet. Well, Hawk 2 are winning everything when Baphomet went upside down. That clearly is the weakness, as they say in their card. Hawk 2 got all the engagements, and may I just say, it's the best it's spun all night long. But Baphomet came back over onto their wheels, and from that point, it was all Dave Weston. What does that do to the leaderboard? It means that Baphomet tops it with 16, but we have ourselves a three-way tie for second, as Dantom Thor, Hawk 2 and Chica all finish on 12 points apiece. Oh yes, you've guessed it, we're going to make the three battle for a place in the finals.
3, 2, 1, activate.
Here we go then, the three robots. You've got to think the big spinner is going to be targeted. Yes, Hawk 2 is being ganged up on by both Chica and Dantom Thor. I wonder how long that alliance will last. Dantom Thor coming in for an axe blow on anybody who's in front of them. Chica flipping over Hawk 2, but that spinner is still once again. Perhaps I spoke too soon in the last battle. Over goes Hawk 2. Great flip there from Chica as Dantom Thor now tries to get a hit in, but they are in a very difficult situation. Chica flips them over. Hawk 2 now pinning upside down. I don't know how they've managed that, but Chica is stuck. Dantom Thor's bringing the axe blows down on the spinner as well, adding insult to injury. That spinner is not spinning at all. Great flip there from Chica. Very nearly saw Dantom Thor down and out of the arena. They're going to need to self-right quickly, and they do. Chica trying to flip Hawk 2. They seem to be a bit stuck on the side wall. Dantom Thor coming in with the good hits now on Chica. Getting a few in, turning them over. I think Hawk 2 is out of it at this point. Chica and Dantom Thor are the last two in, and Dantom Thor with the push sends Chica down once again. I think there was a bit of revenge there from Chica on Hawk 2 for the match earlier on. They didn't come away from that one unscathed. They did this time. Hawk 2's spinner just not working at all. And Chica got all the flips in early doors. Dantom Thor started bringing in the axe as well once Hawk 2 started pinning Chica. Then Chica came in for this opportune moment. Not quite the distance they needed for the flip. Dantom Thor took charge and pushed Chica down and out. That means Baphomet and Dantom Thor will be moving through to the finals, which we will see in a couple of weeks' time. I'm looking forward to seeing them again. Unlucky to Hawk 2, Chica and Pickering Punisher. They fought hard, but it wasn't their night tonight. Dantom Thor and Baphomet. We'll see them again. And that's just about all for this time. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a like. Do subscribe to the channel, and we shall see you again for more MiniBeasts in the East. Until then, good night.